So let's get started. And let me get started with a rather startling idea. You have this muscle in your butt that's cramped up, that's hurting, you can't sit on it, it is very uncomfortable, and it will not stop. And clearly there is something wrong here because a muscle should not ever cramp like this and never stop. So you might be thinking that's the problem. But the starting idea is it's not actually the cramping muscle that's the problem. The problem is elsewhere. I don't believe that if you just focus on the part that hurts, you can make much progress. Yep, that's a very startling idea, but it is very important to understand for making progress and fixing your pain. But before we start explaining, let's do some useful for your body right now, because you can do that while listening to this video. Stop all movements of your body right in the position that you're in. Freeze. Arms, legs, head, all freeze. Stop. Now I want you to notice whether you are sitting or standing or lying down or in whatever position you are right now. Notice where your limbs are, all of them. Where are your arms, where are your hands, your legs, your feet, your elbows, your head. Notice whether they are, whether you are sitting straight or slouched or lying on your side, on which side, and where your body touches the floor or the table or the chair or wherever you are. Whether you're looking straight ahead or to the right or up and down, whether your feet are on the ground or not, and all of this. Notice your entire body. Notice it all. Notice all the muscles that are relaxed, all the muscles that are tight. You'll probably find more muscles that are tight than are relaxed, if you're like most people. And I want you to now memorize this position. Before I said freeze, you probably didn't think much of the position your body is in. So you probably ended up in some position that you are very comfortable with for watching this video. So I want you to remember this comfortable position for later when we'll get back to it. Ready? Memorized? Good. Then you can unfreeze your body and move on. So, you're probably watching this video on your phone or your tablet or something like it. So you might as well do something useful for your body while you continue to watch, right? Nothing else to do here. For this, you need some kind of furniture that's about as tall as your thigh. I use this side table, which is just the right height for me. Put it somewhere where you are comfortable lying down. For this video, I lie down here on my yoga mat. Usually I do it on the family room carpet, which is fairly soft to lie on. So you lie down in front of it, and you put your lower legs on top of that end table or whatever piece of furniture you found. So you end up like sitting on a chair, except sideways, right? So your back is on the ground, and your feet or your lower legs are up on the table, and your butt is sort of pretending to sit on a seat, but it is actually not really sitting on anything. Maybe you want to put something on top of the table, so it's comfortable for your legs when you rest on them on top of the table. It's really important that you have comfortable clothing. No tight stuff like belts or tight jeans or something like that. Make sure your body can easily be in the position you put it in without the clothing putting you around. So lie down with your lower legs on the table and relax. It's important that this is comfortable for you, because if it isn't comfortable, then you will not do it, and you won't do it for long, and you won't be able to relax. And you need to do both: relax and do it for a long time. Also, make sure that nobody is getting in your way of relaxing. No little children who want to sit on your chest, or dogs that lick your ear, or people stepping over you, or too much noise that's distracting. Find a place where you can close your eyes and pay no attention to the world for a few minutes. Now, in a minute, I want you to pause the video, put the phone away, and put your arms on your sides on the ground. Close your eyes and relax. So put the phone away or whatever it is you have there. Put your arms on the sides of the ground, close your eyes and relax. And take some deep breaths. Let your arms rest on the ground. Let your lower legs rest on the table. Everything pushes into the ground as you notice how heavy you are and where it pushes into the surface below. Feels a little funny, doesn't it? Who has ever lain down on the ground with the feet on a table? Notice if anything feels a little funny, where it feels funny. There's nothing wrong with it, but it is useful to notice that. Okay, now pause the video now and do this and come back in a few minutes after you have noticed all these things about your body and you have completely relaxed. Okay, back. I hope this position feels reasonably comfortable for you and you had a chance to relax. I hope all your muscles are still very relaxed as you can make them. While we continue with the video and I tell you about why your cramping muscle isn't actually the problem. While you listen, pay attention to your body. Whenever you notice a muscle that isn't quite relaxed, try to relax it. It doesn't matter where it is. It could be, in your butt. Actually, you probably can't relax that, but it could be in your foot or in your arm or on your neck or whatever it is. Whenever you notice there is a muscle that's not quite relaxed, try to relax it. Maybe you need to adjust your position a little. It's okay if you don't always succeed. Just notice. You're probably holding up your phone with one hand. That's fine. Just put the other one down on the ground. So now I get to what I actually want to tell here. I want you to take a look at the picture of this tree. It's my neighbor's palm tree. What a great tree. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's not entirely upright. And it is so tall. This tree must be working real hard to stay up and not topple over, right? Imagine if you had to hold it up and keep it from toppling over. That would take some real effort. Let's imagine for a second that this tree has muscles like you do to keep itself upright. Actually, I don't know exactly how trees keep themselves up, but let's pretend for a second that it has muscles. They would probably be down here close to the ground, connecting the roots to the top of the tree with some long tendons or strings of some kind, like this. It will probably be all around the tree, so there are muscles that can pull the tree in any direction that's needed. Like when the wind comes from the left, this muscle over here pulls, and if it comes from the right, the opposite muscle pulls to keep the tree standing, right? Does this make sense? I think it does. I think that a palm tree probably does something like that, even if it is muscles that it has, like the mammals do. But this particular palm tree on the picture is leaning, and the weight of the tree pulls it strongly to the left, which means the muscle on the right here needs to pull really hard to keep the tree upright. It's quite a job. It's a heavy tree. This muscle can't ever stop pulling, because if it did stop and take a break, the tree would topple over. Does this remind you of something? Do you have a muscle in your butt that somehow contracts with all of its might and never stops? Have you ever wondered why it might do that? Why something in your brain or something in your nervous system or somewhere in your body instructs this muscle to pull with all of its might and never stop? Might it be like it is for this palm tree? Let's imagine this tree goes to the doctor and says, "Hey, doctor, I have this muscle over here and it's cramped and it hurts and it's pulling so hard and it's really uncomfortable and it never stops. Can you please make it stop cramping and relax?" Let's say the doctor says, like one of mine did, "Oh, sure, I can give it an injection which will force it to relax." Or like another doctor of mine said, "Let's cut this tendon that connects this tight muscle to the rest of the body right here so the muscle has no more reason to pull." If we did this, what would happen to the tree? A child can figure this one out. The tree would crash to the ground. This pulling muscle is the only thing that keeps the tree from crashing to the ground. We should be cheering this muscle and help it do its job, because it's the only thing that is keeping the tree from falling. In this example, analogy with the tree, the cramping muscle is not the problem here. The problem is that the tree is leaning. It could relax this muscle, but only if the tree isn't leaning. Unless that problem gets fixed, the leaning tree, if we don't want the tree to crash to the ground, this muscle simply must pull with all of its might and never stop. You probably hate your piriformis muscle that's cramped so bad and won't ever relax. I want you to rethink that. I want you to think, why in the world would my body think it's a good idea to make this muscle pull as hard as it can and never stop? Maybe the rest of my body is like the palm tree, big and tall and beautiful to see, but crooked. My cramping muscle might be the only thing to keep it from toppling over. I should be friends with this muscle, not enemies. Now, of course, the human body is more complicated than this simple picture of the palm tree that I drew here, and it's not even accurate from a biology perspective. There are in the human butt, there are lots and lots of muscles. You probably have looked at pictures and found various kind of anatomy books just to figure out what's going on in your butt. And all of these muscles are working together in constant and very complicated ways. And there's many joints and things that can move and bend, unlike the simple tree. So it's not as easy to say as, oh, let's see what my cramping muscle is responsible for. And you know what the problem is. You could do that for the tree. If this muscle is pulling real hard, the tree must be slanted to the opposite side. I haven't found a simple answer for why it is the piriformis muscle that tends to grab a cramp as opposed to some other muscles around it. But we don't really actually need to know that. We don't need to have that answer in order to make progress. What I want you to take from this analogy is this. The reason why you have this pain might not be because there's anything wrong with your cramping muscle. Like there is nothing wrong with the muscle keeping up the tree. Instead, what's wrong is something else. And to get better, you need to find out what that else is and fix that. Think you're a little bit like this palm tree, but at night, when nobody can see, it is leaning. The palm tree, like you, might think it is magnificent and nothing wrong with it at all. It just has this cramping muscle. But it might be wrong about it because it can't see in the dark that it is leaning. Think of it like you have something in your body that's leaning, but you can't see it. You have to find out what it is. So you need to find out which part of your body is bent or crooked or not straight or used in a wrong way. You cannot see that usually by looking at yourself or having somebody look at you. Instead, it is something less visible. It is work. You have to imagine having to straighten out the palm tree. That is a work too, and it's a much simpler organism than your body. Once you straighten it out, then your muscle can finally say, I'm not needed so much more. I can relax, and you feel much better. So how can you find out what is wrong about your body? That's the whole point about these videos. I will give you some tests and some exercises and some pointers to books and videos of very smart people who have some great thoughts on the subject. But ultimately, you will need to figure it out yourself. This might sound hard, but I could do it. So you can too. So, are you still lying down with your lower legs up? Good. How does that feel? I don't think it made much of a difference for your cramping butt muscle. But maybe it felt reasonably nice for some other parts of your body. Spend a minute to check in with your various limbs and muscles and check whether they are relaxed and feeling good about that. Check all of them, not just your butt, but also your shoulders and your legs and your lower back and your arms and your toes and everything. This exercise on its own doesn't do very much, except that it lets you relax certain muscles that are otherwise hard to relax. And that's important. So do it occasionally, like when you're reading a book, or as I do when I read the news on my iPad. From time to time, change the arm that is holding your phone. If you are right-handed, try to take an equal amount of time holding your phone with your left hand. It's really important to get out of old patterns of behavior, like only holding your phone with your right hand, and spend more time doing the opposite. I'll make a separate movie about that. But before I go, remember I asked you to memorize the position you were in at the beginning of this video before you got on the ground with your legs up in the air? Recall whether you were sitting or slouching or lying on your back or right, left, or whatever it was. Next time you do a similar activity like watching a video, and if you aren't lying down on the ground with your legs on the end table, then do the exact opposite of whatever you memorized about the position that you were in at the beginning of this video. If you were sitting, stand up or lie down. If you're lying down, stand up or sit. If you held your phone with your right hand, hold it with your left hand. Or better, don't hold it at all and put it on a stand or a table, or use your laptop instead of your phone. If you were looking down, look up. Just the opposite of everything you did. Why? I'll talk about in a separate video.